أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة صلاة الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. ونشهد أن سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيبنا محمد رسول الله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. نشهد أنه بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كلام الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة في الدين ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Brothers and sisters in Islam, each of us, when we talk about the life that we are in, we always remember that the days, all days, so it depends on the old days, depends on the age of the person. Always we refer to the old days to be better than today. We had, if you listen to your father, the father had said the same for his previous was better than the time that he was living in. And if you got with your grandfather, you ask him, I mean, there were times that there was no food, but for some reason they preferred those days on the day that everything is available. So what is going on? So why this happening? Why the things that we are living in a life that people are not happy with what they have, or the situations, the circumstances they are living in with? Number one is for us, first of all, a da'wah, calling this deen, to call for this deen is a mandatory. ما لا يتم الواجب به فهو واجب إلا به فهو واجب. If there is an item that without that you cannot get to doing something wajib, then you have to do that one. Existence of Islam is a mandatory, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep this deen. But having to call for this da'wah and keeping this, to strive for it, is a must. But the strive is, the da'wah has three components. الدعوة, الداعي, المدعو. The actual message that you have, and the person, the caller, and the one who is calling to. So those three are three pillars that need to be there and be coordinating among those three. So the da'wah, the message, we have clear in that one. We don't have issue there. There is no ambiguity. Clear for all of us. It comes to the other two parts, the one who is da'i, calling, and then al-mad'u. The da'i is the one who is knowing about the Islam from the minimum, from the ayah of Quran, till whatever he knows. There is no limit for that, knowing in Islam. Al-mad'u is everyone, including yourself, and then the people who are living with, Muslim or non-Muslim. But first you start with yourself, the second with the family, and so on and so forth. Now, if you put yourself in a side now, when it comes to the matter of the family, the children, this is the key part, especially with the youth that we are in this life that they are living in. And I think the main point for the people who are putting the other life easier is the matter of the youth. When you are in an age younger, your father was seeing you, comparing his obedience to his father was completely different the way that you do it to your father. And then now your child is doing it to you. So this kind of the sequence, it's not the same. In the past, imagine most of you remember this, and maybe there are some other families still they have that culture, is that when you respecting between the grandfather and then the child was amazing. From helping, from listening, from things that even the grandfather was not aware, that the child was showing in a way that he's aware, he understands what he says, despite of the hardships that person goes through. But now it's different. I don't know if I mentioned here or in the Khatira. I went back before the COVID, I think it was 3 years ago. In the past, when you are in the gathering, and when you are talking, there are some examples of stories that you bring in. There are some names of the events, adultery, and there are certain things you make statements as a phrase that you don't want to mention the name. You just point to it out of the respect of the gathering that you are in. And when I was saying 2-3 times, I hit 2-3 meetings in the gathering. I was not saying the name. I said because of the respect of the gathering. How you'll hear sometimes Imam on the minbar, he says, out of respect to the masjid, he's not mentioning something, but he's pointing. Everybody is understanding. So the people, even the young ones, say, no, you don't have to worry. No worry. I mean, it's fine. So you could speak it up and say it. That was in 1980s and beginning of 90s. There was no way to do that. If the child could, or a young guy was saying that in the meeting, everybody was tearing to his face. How can you say that? So now, what is changing? I mean, this is really important. At the end of the day, what we are living in is the life Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us to survive. The survival is guaranteed by the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You came in, you seen that rizq, the food out there. There were like 500 people in the previous khutbah. You tell the people, take food, free, just take a bag with you. Maybe even 50 bags did not go. So people, they're well enough in a matter of the food. Not everyone. Allah knows, of course, there always will be there. But we are talking about the general and the public. So we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that blessing is that on us. But the lack we have is to create that connection with the children, to have parallel with the resource that we give, to go with the same level of the spiritual part. That's where we are lacking. That's where we have issue, all of us, starting from myself. And the main reason, it goes back to the person that association with the people. In the past, people were related to each other as a friend or as a relative. So it was easy to respect and learn from each other. Gathering, proper gathering. The child, imagine, he's not speaking up, he doesn't know the stuff. But every day he was coming in a gathering, he learned stuff. By time when he became 18, 20, he's a well-matured person. Nowadays, with the generation we have, bring a box, put it in front of that door, and then let them, bring 20 of them, tell them from 13 to 15 or to 18, tell them go to the bathroom. Empty box right there. How many of them will remove that box, put it in a side? Very less. Majority of them, they bypass the box and they try to jump. Whatever they do, just they leave it there. It's just, and you ask them, don't you see that's just a blocker? You need to move it. But I think somebody put it there for a reason. What reason? How can you come for a reason, even as a reason? Moving a small item is just an easy to bring it back. But at least this large traffic to go. It's just a matter of the mentality and the culture, how that youth is growing up. Now, we all are sitting and you give advices. You continuously lecturing the child. That's all normally people do. Says, be good, do that, do the right thing. That's wrong, that's right. And then by the time you see the child is just full of the commands from you, but not much change out there. So why is not changing? Why is not behaving the way you want it? So there are certain things like in that child, in that teen, is really need to be understood before you make the last call to say, I'm done, I cannot change of this one. Number one, the main thing to focus on is a matter of the friendship. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the hadith, "Al-mar'u ala dini khalili, falyanzur ahadukum man yukhalil." Rawahu Abu Dawud wa Tirmidhi wa sahahahu al-Albani. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this hadith clearly says that the person on the religion of his friend. What does that mean? Religion on his friend. It means Arab. They have a statement. It says, "As-sahibu huwa sahibun." Be seen. Sahibun, like tractor. Friend is a tractor. Will track that person to himself. And there are certain friends are key, like is like a queen of the bees, that they could attract people around them. There are some they don't have that power, but the wild one, they have that power. They could bring people toward them and then misguide them to the wrong side. That's where main problem is there. So you have to look first about the friend of your child. You don't have to ask him. You have to monitor it. Find the different ways to get there. Because we always look for the model. Look for the examples that to follow. There are certain characters in the youth need to be known by the father especially. Number one, the teens are in the confusion status. Because of the number of the changes goes through their lives, from the school, from work, from the family, from the environment, all those are things sometimes it's just too much for them to comprehend and they will be in the confusion status. Number two is they are pure. They are pure in a way that the heart is clean and is waiting for something to fill it up. And that's where whoever gets the first route on that path and get to the heart of that person, that's the person will win and to get to it. Number three is that they have tendency to be independent. And that's the key thing. They like always to be by themselves. And as Arab they say, الطفل يقول أنت والمراهق يقول say أنا adult will say نحن. So when he's a child, he's always say that your dad, mother, always pointing to someone bigger than him. When become teen, it's always him. That even the statement you make, he will repeat it. They say, I said that. You don't have to argue. Say, you said that. You said it. Jazakallahu khair. But that's to be independent. Therefore, their matter is how to get out of the house soon and get to be by themselves. One, if you did not give any advice from me, get this advice. For those who are the father, this is from has nothing to do with the deen, just my experience with the life of the people that I live in. When your child finishes the high school, if you have choice to keep your child in the town, do not let for the bachelor degree to go outside of the town. Because that age from 18 to 19 and above, it's the transition time. And when he goes to somewhere, there is no way that you could monitor that child continuously. Wallahi, what you have built in 18 years, you will lose it in 6 months. So, at least if the child will be with you, daily you will see the behavior. But when you don't see him or don't see her for 6 months, 3 months, 4 months, when he comes back, even it's too late for you, 2 days. 2 days is not enough. Then in that 2 days, he goes out hanging out with friends in town of the high school. You might see him only for 2 hours or during the sleeping time. So don't risk it. If you pay a few $1,000s, better to have the child to come back to your home for 4 years of the bachelor degree. At that time, when he comes 22, wallahi, you will see the curve, how it goes to the kind of the steady, and be able that child to be more in a wise side and listen to the stuff and comprehend, not to be in the matter of the wild time that he was just want to follow what desire comes to his mind. So having that is always, any of them, to ask him would like to go to another city, another state, to be by himself, sees it as a power, sees it as a challenge. The only thing doesn't see it, the risk of the matter of the deen. Till he become an age, but that maybe it will be late. You don't want to risk that. So consider that point in your mind. Number 2 is find a group or a friend for your child. Even if you tell a person, the friend that you see is a good one, tell him to hang out with your child, to be your friend. You don't have to tell your child to go to him. You have to spend time. You have to spend time on him to find friends for him if he cannot find one. There are certain kids are shy. They don't have that way of going out and asking people or finding and making friends, good friends. Therefore, the parents is on them to have that power and be able to go and do for them. So that the child will find a generation to see this group are his or hers. And these are the people that will see them as friends. Now, a friend has to understand him, and they need to understand each other, to be on the same level of communication. You can't bring someone to be 30 and then someone is 15. Still, there is, but if there is none, you could. But it's better always to find someone in that level will be able to affect. Now, the other part, which will be very hard to control, is matter of the social media. Now, this one, it's not easy. The only way is to find the real group, people, so that the social media he has, that you will be able really to see from those friends the messages and the communications and things that he does it from outside. That way that you will have it. Because the challenge is the child is living in the competition, living in the sira'at, inside the child's heart. So you have to bring that stability to the heart of that child. I'll finish it in the second khutbah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. من عمل صالحا فلنفسه ومن أساء فعليها وما ربك بظلام للعبيد. توجه إلى الله بالدعاء. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Umar ibn al-Khattab says عليك بإخوان الصدق تعش في أكنافهم فإنهم زينة في الرخاء وعدة في البلاء. He says it's on you to find the good, truthful friends. Hold on those, because you live under their shade. They are beauties in the life of the person. They will be blessings and beauty during the time where you have happiness, and they will be your support immediately when the time that you will have hardships. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Furqan, وَيَوْمَ يَعَضُّ الظَّالِمُ عَلَى يَدَيْهِ يقول يا ليتني اتخذت مع الرسول سبيلا يا ويلتى لم أتخذ فلانا خليلا لقد أضلني عن الذكر بعد إذ جاءني وكان الشيطان للإنسان خذولا. Imagine in the day of the judgment. And sometimes you feel the child when even for us, certain times that you were misguided. You bite on your fingers. I wish I would go back to a certain age and replay my life again and go away from those friends that they misguided me. But the day of the judgment, you can't come back. I mean, nobody even replay what you have in this life. You could start from now and do better in a better position. But that's what happened in the day of the judgment. Because the one you are biting on your fingers and to say, I wish I would have chosen the path of the Prophet ﷺ and did not choose that person as a friend because he misguided me on the path of the Islam. Brothers and sisters in Islam, now we mentioned that sometimes when you communicate with the child, you give so much information will be too much in a way that the child says just he can't comprehend it, he can't handle it. You have to know the level of your child as well. That's really one of the key. First of all, the childs are not the same. Some of them you could drive them much faster pace, and some of them you have to just slow down and feed that child based on the need. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, one day his son went to him. There was an issue that he could have changed it. He did not make a decision, Umar. And his son said, his son was Abdul Malik. Abdul Malik told him, Father, why don't you do it? You are Amir. This is easy. If you make a decision, wallahi, I will be with you all the way till you do that. Look at the answer what he said. He said, son, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ذم الخمر في القرآن مرتين وحرمها في الثالثة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala condemned alcohol 2 times in the Quran. The 3rd time he made it haram. He gave the gradual steps. إني أخاف أن أحمل الحق على الناس جملة فيدعوه جملة. I am afraid that I force the people to give them the truth in one package, all of it, and then they leave it in the entire package. They don't do any of those. So it is matter of ويكون من the fitna, and there will be troublesome out of that. Because you might not get another hit back to the child to listen to you. Because the child will get in a situation that what you are telling him is not applicable, cannot be done. And if you look at your life as well, you are in the same boat. You didn't do much. I'm sending my daughter to say to memorize the Quran. You memorize the Juz' Am, memorize Juz' Tabarak. And if the child will look at you, do you memorize it? No, I don't. Why you don't do it? My time was different, now I can. That is really not excuse for the child, because he doesn't get to that position to compare that when he goes there, it will be harder to memorize. The word that you are telling him, you have to do it yourself. So the pace that you go, see so that the model will be in front of him or her. So you need to spend time for yourself on this deen. Then that you will be able to apply it on the others. Otherwise, that conflict will be there. The child maybe will do it like a force. When he finds opportunity, live out. And you don't want that. You want the child, when he does something about this deen, when the child by himself or herself, your monitoring will not make any big difference. Will make difference, but not to be a major difference in a way that that child not to pray at all. You don't want to do that. So that's really one of the things that you always have to be compatible with what message that you are giving, with the advice you are giving, to be on the same page, both of you. In a way to bring down your level to the child to see you as your friend and not to hide anything from you. But if you always keep that pride at the top, that not to communicate, not to criticize you, wallahi, I will tell you frankly, you are not on the right path. As the child, you have to be open. First of all, he's the best one that to criticize you if you have something wrong to fix you. The second is that when you show that type of attitude that you could fix yourself, for that child will be easier as well to accept the same path. But if you'll stay there, mine is always override everything, then we'll not see you as a model. We'll find someone to be open his heart for. Everybody, doesn't matter the level of the life they are living in, has something in the heart, has some desires, initiatives, and hopes and objectives. Maybe if you see it with the clear eyes, wallahi, you will laugh. But it's important. Having an app on the phone, that's maybe much important than anything that you'll give it to the child. So you need to reset your mindset in a way to bring back to the point of that child living in. It is hard, wallahi. Because in the past, when you look at your grandfather, the job that grandfather was doing, like especially agriculture or people who are doing the cattle and stuff, so you look at, it was the same thing. It was the same loop was over and over again. When you become strong, you do the same. You know what the father is doing, you have done the same. Now there is a difference between the generations. There is disconnect completely. There is no way a child of 16 to be less knowledgeable compared to you if you are 50 or 60 on using the phone. They are more powerful in using the technology than you. So what is left for you? Bunch of stories in the past. You know, we used to do that. We used to do that. We used to do that. Whatever you say we used to is not exist nowadays. So really, brothers and sisters, I know the challenge is really too much. For if you want to keep the iman, but it is what we are in. It's in this small global world that we are living in. You have to see what you could do. And it comes with the capability. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. But if you pull back to say, I'm not doing anything, it's just not working, that's not an answer. It's whatever you do now to help that child will save you, Allah, in the future tremendously. But la samahullah, if that child commit a crime, if that child doing wrong stuff, Allah, you will never forget it. And then you will remember these days that you say, I wish I have done that. And don't forget the matter of the college stuff that I said. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive all of us, inshallah. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to settle iman in our heart, inshallah. Wa sallu wa sallimu ala nabikum. ثانيا لقوله تبارك وتعالى إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم لا تدع لنا في مقامنا هذا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا ضالا إلا هديته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا حاجة هي لك رضا ولنا فيها صلاحا إلا قضيتها يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم وفقنا ووفق أولادنا لما تحبه وترضاه اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية في الدنيا والآخرة اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية في ديننا وأهلنا وأموالنا وأرزاقنا ودنيانا اللهم اغفر لنا لما قدمنا وما أخرنا وما أسررنا وما أعلنا وما أنت أعلم به منا أنت المقدم وأنت المؤخر لا إله إلا أنت عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون قوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمكم الله في الصلاة
الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله